Was there anyone we're still waiting on, or we're good?
I think we're good. Everybody's there.
Okay, Renee Coleman, I think she said she was gonna pop in a minute, so, all right. Let me share my screen. All right. And then Nicole, did you hit record yet? Yeah. All right, so, no, we're gonna look at all the different, call center services things. Call center services is like the umbrella term for that portal. And that portal contains 3 different products of ours. We have extension call recording, EQs, and then contact center. So all 3 of those are housed in this portal. So anytime you have a customer that's, they have one of those 3 products, you're going to be dealing with this other portal. There's a hope to get it added into the My Office Suite portal eventually, so this way it's all kind of condensed into one place. But for now, it is set up in a separate portal. How the customers will find their call center services portal, we made it pretty easy for them. Once they log into our portal, if they have any one of those 3 products, they should have 2 extra things. In here, under My Services, they should have CCS Console. So that takes them to another portal. And then also under Other Services, they should have Call Center Services. And then here's also CCS Console. So those are the 2 things to kind of look for. Once you see them here, then you know that their portal has been built. Nicole, are you on the line? Did we need to go through like provisioning stuff? She might have hung up. Has anyone not done a CCS order, like requested to have the portal provisioned, something like that? No. No. Okay. Let me see if I can bring it up on the wiki real quick. Okay. So if you get an order that has one of those 3 things, you're going to have provisioning build this portal. And from what I understand, it is a manual task, so it's not like it's going to be part of your workflow. With this post, just ACD, it kind of goes through what the product is, but then here's the provisioning part of it. So you'll need to know how many seats have been ordered. So if it says like contact center 6, that means they have 6 seats for contact center. And let me give you an explanation of what these products are before we kind of go through it. It might make more sense. So our extension call recording, that's the most basic one. It's actually a pretty basic program. And what it does is it records inbound and outbound phone calls. It's the only product we have that will record outbound calls. What would happen is they end up letting us know what phone numbers need to be recording eligible. So they'll let you know as the project manager, and you end up having that built in the switch. You would open it up an obligation for switch, and you say, hey, these 6 numbers are recording eligible. So they list what numbers are recording eligible. In the portal, they choose what extensions are recording eligible. And then as long as a call comes through a recording eligible number and goes to a recording eligible person, it's going to record that call. So those 2 things need to be true for it to record. Yeah.
Is there a limit of the number?
So for the number of phone numbers, that doesn't matter. They don't pay per phone number. You know, they can say, hey, I have this one number that needs to be recorded, or I have these, 4,000 numbers. There's no cost difference for that. But they buy seats. That's what the monthly thing is how many seats, how many extensions do you want as recording eligible? And that one, it's pretty cheap. It's like $5 per seat per month. So yeah, inbound, it's just that those two things need to be true. Inbound through the recording eligible number, it's a recording eligible person. And then for outbound dialing, the default setup is, you know how you dial 9 to dial out? You would dial 8 instead. So as long as they dial 81 area code phone number and they're a recording eligible extension, then it's going to record that outbound part. Okay, and then they're able to pull their recordings in the portal, which we'll look at. So that's extension call recording. Like I said, that one's pretty basic. The next tier up is EQs, and EQs is our first, that's our basic ACD product. ACD is automatic call distribution, so it's basically queues. Do you know what a queue is? Like you call somewhere and they're on hold, you're listening to hold music, you're the ninth person, and that's what a queue is. So EQs and contact center are our two queue products, ACD products. EQs is just the basic one, and then contact center, it has everything EQs does plus a few more features. Contact center also does inbound call recording, whereas EQs does not. So we have two different recording products. We have our extension call recording, and these terms, like, know these terms, always use these terms, because it gets confusing because we have multiple recording things. So extension call recording, ECR, that's recording both inbound and outbound, because where the confusion comes from is a lot of times people say, the customer ordered contact center with call recording. Well, did they order contact center with extension call recording, two different products, or did they just want the contact center parentheses which offers call recording? So make sure you understand what the order is for, and then when you send off emails and stuff like that, make sure you let them know exactly what it is. Okay. So yeah, EQ's contact center, we'll take a look at that as well. But they're the two queuing-based products, ACD products. Those terms are kind of used interchangeably.
And with contact center, you can only record outbound?
Inbound.
Inbound.
You can only record calls that come into the queue. And all the queue, like picture a queue, like the best way I always describe it is a queue is just a fancy call group. So, it rings people, it doesn't do them simultaneously like a broadcast group does. It rings them based off of availability. So whoever's not on the phone and signed in for queue duty will get a call. So we'll talk about kind of how those are dispersed. Yeah.
What's ECR again?
ECR?
Extension call.
Extension call recording. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have ECR, extension call recording. EQs doesn't really have an abbreviation, but then contact center, occasionally you'll see that it's just CC. Yeah, I think that was just a quick recap of what the products are, but we'll look at the portal and see kind of what they look like. But when you let provisioning know what they need to build, you need to let them know how many seats, what type of order it is, EQs or contact center, or extension call recording. This actually needs to get updated. Recording or no recording. We used to offer EQs with call recording, and then we had contact center with and without call recording. So you can kind of pick and choose, like, what ACD package do you want, and do you want recording on it? And we simplified it where it's just EQs doesn't have recording, contact center does. This is still kind of indicating that you could do like EQs with recording, which is not true. So this needs to get updated actually. You need to let them know who the admin is, so what extension is going to be the admin, and then if they have contact center, you need to let them know the sign-in method. Contact center has 2 sign-in methods, whereas EQs only has 1. With EQs, it's just phone-based, so they have a programmable key on their phone, and they press the button to sign in.
Is this information that we have to get from the customer themselves, Elcon, or can we provide some of this information and where?
Yeah, you would typically discuss it on the implementation call. I mean, on the order itself is going to tell you how many seats and what version, but you'd ask them, who's going to be the admin,
Right.
and then if they have contact center, you want to ask them what sign-in method they want to use. So phone-based is basic. That's what most people typically go with, and it's just literally pressing a button on the phone. Then there's web-based. It's also referred to as ACP, Agent Control Panel is what it stands for. But the web-based one is the agent, the person answering the phone, they would actually need to sign into a portal and then, say, hey, I'm ready to take a call. So it's a little bit more involved. You have to log into a website and stuff, but you have a little bit more control with it because there's like a way status. You can customize them and say, project or bio break or smoke break, like whatever you want. And then as they sign out, they can choose any one of those wave reasons. And this way the admin can see, oh, so-and-so's on a smoke break. They've been on a smoke break for, 92 minutes. Let me go see what the hell's going on. So it gives you some more abilities by doing the web-based, but it's a little harder to use. But like I said, most people go with the phone-based. And it's all or nothing. So it's not like, hey, I have, 10 seats and these 4 people want to do phone-based and these 6 want to do web-based. It's you all pick phone-based or you all pick web-based. Okay. But yeah, and here it kind of goes over, how to get the portal built, manual task, VCAS config, sign it to Boy Bob, should let them know all this info. All that stuff's on the wiki.
The VKS is the office.
Office Suite config, they changed the name there. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You said that needs to be updated in the wiki.
Mhm.
Is there any way we can let Nicole know to update?
Yeah, I was gonna let her know if she's not listening.
I'm listening.
Yeah, the wiki needs to get updated. This is still looking like it offers if they have EQs, contact center, reporting or not. It should have, EQs or contact center, or extension call recording, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So this page needs a little bit of a overhaul.
Got it.
All right. Any questions on the products? Otherwise, we're going to look at the portal next. This is where you can see, I was going to talk about it later. There's different roles that you can be. So I'll circle back to this, I promise. Okay, but any questions before we proceed? Rocky, how about you? Any questions?
Oh, I'm good, Kenny. Thank you.
You're good? All right, cool. All right, so like I said, from the portal, from My Office Suite, you can go to the CCS console. Okay, it's going to launch another page, another tab, and then you would sign in. The extension is their extension, and it would have to be, the admin extension. The password, despite it saying password, this is actually their PIN number, and it's their phone PIN. So the same PIN they use to log into the physical phone, that's what they would be using here. Another thing, and this is just, it might save you a headache, telling customers if they want to save this as a favorite, save it as a favorite before they log in. Just watch this address bar as I sign in. Right here it says Broadview, which is the account number. Typically you would see the BTN there for the account. And once I sign in, it like simplifies it. So it's very generic now. If they went and they saved this as a favorite, how it is right there, they're not going to be able to log in, and they're going to be, hey, I'm clicking my link, I'm putting my stuff in, it's not working, I reset my PIN number. It's because they're not going to the right URL. When they use My Office Suite, it's always going to take them to the right place, but a lot of times people try saving it as a favorite because, hey, I can get here a little easier. Just recommend they do that before they sign in. And we do training, we explain this sort of stuff during the training, but, you know, you might get questions too.
So, customer gets, training just like they would for like the portal and blueprint and
Yeah,
that,
let
right?
me bring up soft speed real quick.
Extension call recording training, contact.
So you all know how to schedule training,
Mhm.
I'm assuming? Okay.
Yeah.
So in our training tab,
Okay.
here it's going to show you, it's supposed to show you what trainings are necessary for the order. I happen to pick one that has extension call recording, so you'll actually see that this button is kind of checked off, meaning that they should have extension call recording. So you would schedule their normal stuff like you always do, and then here's extension call recording, you'd click on this, you'd schedule it. So yeah, extension call recording, they get one training session with that, which is typically plenty. A training session for extension call recording usually takes like 20 minutes. Cake.
Okay.
If they have EQs, they get 2 training sessions. Okay, and you can kind of see that with this chart a little bit. You can see EQs, the first and second one are free. Third one, that's where we start billing the $99 fee. And then in contact center, they actually can get up to 3 sessions. The fourth one is free. Schedule them one at a time. And with EQs and contact center, typically you would schedule the first session before porting. So, you know, you would do, you know, startup, admin, end user, just like you normally would, and try to do EQs or contact center training, like right after the admin, like maybe the day after.
I think, Kenny, I think you said the first one was free for the contact center, but you mean the first 3 are free and the fourth one?
Yeah, they get 3 hours of training included. The 4th hour is where it begins to incur a cost.
Right.
But that's just for contact center. You know, they get their admin, they get their end user, those are freebies. And then it's just when they get into like the 4th hour of contact center is where there would be a fee. But no, so the first one of either EQs or contact center, you want to schedule that right around the same time as the admin training. Show them how to set up a queue, so this way they can use it with their auto attendant, that kind of stuff. The second hour of either of them, try to schedule that after the port. So they ported on a Monday, schedule this training on a Wednesday or something. And the reason for that is we break up the training where the first hour is how to set it up. The second hour is how to now view that information.
Okay.
When we do the first training, there's no info in there. There's no recorded calls. There's nothing. There's no reports you can run. So the second hour would be, all right, you've been using this for a little bit, hopefully. Now let's look at your data. Let me show you how to pull this, do that. And then contact center, there's a third session that would be free. It's really if they need a hand, if they have questions, if they want to go over something again. It's not always necessary, but on the order, they pay like $350 for training. So although this is free, they really are paying for that training. It's just included on the order. But that's usually pretty rare. Not everybody utilizes it. Okay, but typically just the 2 sessions is sufficient. So yeah, you would just schedule those as needed. And when we do the training, I mean, we actually log into their portal. Now this portal that I'm looking at, this is built with contact center and extension call recording. One thing I did not mention before was that you can have extension call recording, you can have EQs, you can have contact center. They're 3 separate products. You cannot do extension call recording with EQs. So those two products, we don't align together. If they had one and they want the other for some reason, they'd have to get bumped up to contact center. So we can only team extension call recording up with contact center. We will not do that with EQs. That make sense? All right. So yeah, this is built with contact center and extension call recording. So there's stuff in here that normally wouldn't be there for extension call recording customers and kind of vice versa. But I'll point out what would be with what. All of live status would only be with EQs or contact center. Extension call recording wouldn't see any live status.
Okay.
Okay. EQs includes queue calls and voice queues. Only contact center offers glance and agents. So they get some added views when they go to contact center. Completed events, all three products offer. Reports, this depends on what one they have. So with extension call recording, they would only have tenant usage. With EQs, they have, it's about half of these. And then with contact center, you get all of them. Agents and ACDs, all three products have, but with extension call recording, they would only have the agent section. With EQs, they would have agents and voice queues. And then with contact center, they get all three. And then lastly, with resources, extension call recording has evaluation forms only. EQs has audio library, just audio library. And then contact center has holiday schedule, and only if they chose web-based sign-in would they have presence options. All what I just said, that's listed on the wiki somewhere. It tells you what product offers, what sections, what views. It's in here somewhere, I promise. Because I know you're not going to remember all that. All right, but I'm going to start with agents and ACDs because this is where it actually gets built. This is where they kind of set it up. Under agents, okay, this is where, and again, this has both extension call recording and contact center. This is where you would choose who's an ACD agent or who is recording eligible. Okay, what you would end up doing typically is you'll hit refresh extensions, and then that's going to pull all the names and extensions from my office suite and puts it in here. Because if you first go to it, it's completely blank. Maybe the admin extension's there. So when you hit refresh, it's going to update everything. And let's say, Michael changed his name and he's now Mike in my office suite. It's not going to be reflected that here unless you come in and you hit refresh. So this is just going to pull the most up-to-date info. But to make changes, who's what, it's just a matter of hitting edit. And then here you have, their page. Now this is a little bit overly complicated because this is our corporate tenant. There's some added things in here. Typically under role, there's only up to 3 options. You would never see, these 5. Extension call recording, all you really have to worry about is, do you want to record or not? And this would just be a yes or no. And then under role, it would only be tenant admin, which we have abbreviated as TA. Okay, so that's all you'd have to worry about with extension call recording. Who's a tenant admin, who can log in, and then who's recording eligible. Once you get into EQs or contact center, that's when you have to choose if they're an ACD agent, meaning that they can take calls through any one of the queues. They can be in one queue, they can be in all the queues, they can pick and choose, the admins can. So you would make them an ACD agent. This setting is important. I don't know how much you'll get into this, but tuck it in depth of your head somewhere because it can cause issues. If they set up their queue and they're complaining because calls are getting stuck in Pat's voicemail. You know, every call goes to Pat's voicemail. It's not moving on to the next person. This is probably the culprit. With this being 20 seconds, that's about 5 rings. They're like 4 seconds each. And do you know what the default call coverage is for each person's extension? How many rings in voicemail?
25 seconds.
Well, we do it in rings. The default is 4 rings in voicemail. This is 5 seconds, or this is 5 rings, basically. And those 2 settings are important because if this is longer than the individual's call coverage, their call coverage picks up and it goes to voicemail. So it doesn't have a chance to move on to the next person. We typically recommend changing it to 12, which is 3 rings. So this way it moves on to the next person instead of getting stuck in their voicemail. An individual, I mean, they could go in, they could change their setting 2 rings in voicemail, at which point you would want to make this like 7 seconds. But I would, before I would do that, I would tell them, you know, what's up. You know, 2 rings is kind of short. You know, if you switch it to 3, it'd be a little better. 4 would be best.
Is there a way that they can like make it like several options? I mean, a person can probably toy around and say, oh, 30 seconds, and they don't even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they gave the customer options like 5, 10.
Right. The individual does not have access to this setting, but they can change their own personal call coverage. I've put in a request, and I believe it is done, where the default should be 12 seconds going forward, and that'll just correct it from the get-go. But the default has been 20 seconds for like the last year or 2. And I finally got tired of having trouble tickets with something stupid like this. So we updated the default to 12. Is it 12? 12 or 16 or something, or 15. I forget what it is. It's whatever, it works. So that, like I said, that's just an important setting. As far as roles with roles with EQs and contact center, EQs has 2 roles available. You can either be an agent, which is just someone who's taking a call, or you can be a tenant admin, meaning someone can log in and make all these changes and stuff. With contact center, they get 1 more role, and it's the supervisor role, which is basically like a read-only access to this. So they can log in, they can run reports, they can check status, listen to recorded calls. They can't make any changes to that. Okay. And then also, we do have an option with Contact Center where they can implement groups. So if you had like 3 different sites and you only wanted, you know, the admin from site A to see site A stuff, admin from site B to see site B stuff, we can implement groups, and then you can group things out. That's a little bit more advanced. I'm not going to really go through it. It's only available for Contact Center, and we would help them during training and stuff. Any questions on that page? Okay. With voice cues, you know, only EQs in Contact Center would have this one. This is where they build their queue. So it's like the equivalent of call groups. You can see stuff that's already in here. I think that's demo. There's a bunch of settings that go into these. I can go through them if you'd like. It's kind of up to you. I can do them quickly.
Are we doing these, are we going in here to make these changes for the customer?
Typically, the customer will do it, or training will assist them with it. The only time you would do it is if, for some reason, they didn't go through training, or maybe they have an issue and you're helping them out with it. The important ones, why don't I just point them out? Like the ACD timeout. That's the maximum amount of time a caller could sit in the queue. It is done in seconds. So what is that? That's like 30 minutes or something? I don't know what it is. Too early for math. But so that's the maximum amount of time it would wait. And then if they do reach that 3,000 seconds, where is it going to go? None/remove is the default, and that basically hangs up. So if you just waited 30 minutes or whatever that is, and that set is none removed, it's going to hang up. They're not going to be happy. But you can pick anything. There's like the option to do other. You can type in an individual's extension. You can type in a call group. You can type in a auto attendant, whatever you wanted. Auto attendants are pretty popular. That and call groups. But in this one, it was just set as none. So that's an important setting. Required agent confirmation, no one uses that. The whisper announcement plays a little recording in their ear before they take the call. So like I'd pick up the phone and then I could have it say, call from Q. Well, no, it plays it in the agent's ear. It doesn't play it in the caller's ear.
That's good, so you know what to expect, right?
Right, and these are customizable. So I could upload, billing. I could upload, customer service. I could upload, whatever I wanted. And this way, if I'm in all these different queues, I pick up and it says, billing call. So I know this is a billing call. You will see the name of the call group, or I'm sorry, the name of the queue. It shows up on the screen of the phone. For my telephones, VVX doesn't do that yet. But that whisper announcement can come in handy. It's just not used very often. Here's an important one, record inbound calls. That's only there for contact center. So as long as they have that enabled, as long as a call comes to this, it's going to record that inbound call. If they forget, it's not going to get recorded. DTMF handling menu only contact center has. Basically, you can give an option like press 0 for voicemail. So I'm not gonna. That's pretty advanced. I don't know how much you'll get into that.
Call back.
We don't do callback, but the most popular is please continue to hold. If you want to leave a message, press 0 at any time, and then you would create a menu that basically says if they press 0, do this. But only contact center does that. Wrap-up time is after an agent finishes their call, how much time before another call could come through. There's different types for distribution.
So that's 2 seconds after you wrap up your call, you could just...
Right, another call comes in.
Oh, okay.
The default is 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
That gives you enough time to hang up the phone, maybe sign out if you need to run to the bathroom or something. Sometimes people have like reports they need to fill out or they need to send emails after every call. So people lengthen this to a minute, 2 minutes, whatever their needs are. Okay, but then there's different types of distribution. Round robin and longest title are the more popular ones. Fewest calls isn't great because you have to have people that work the same exact schedule, basically. Because if I come in at 8 o'clock and you come in at 9, when you come in, I'm going to be at 10 calls already. You're going to be at 0. So now it's going to try delivering all the calls to you to try to get us even. So that's why that one's not used as often. And then the service level, that's just like a goal they would set. We hope to have all of our calls answered within 30 seconds. When they run a report, they can find out that 82% of their calls were answered within their service level.
Gives them like a summary of how they did to reach that goal.
Right. So those are all just like the settings up top. Then they have to choose their members. So this is like the membership of call groups. They would hit add or remove. You drag over extensions if you'd like. You can put different priorities on people. And then the last thing is creating the hold treatment. And this is what the caller listens to while they're waiting. This is an example of some hold treatment. I'll just kind of run through it, like what it looks like. But you add like individual commands. So if you want to play the position, you want to play music, you then choose, what music do you want to play, and then that gets added in here.
Can you give announce I would say like some companies play like an advertisement?
They can upload whatever they want in here. So again, just to kind of run through this and explain, it's going to start with ringing, this one. people call into a call group or something, you're kind of going to expect to hear the phone ring. When you play a ringing, or if you play music, stuff like that, it wants to play the entire file. So they might be, I think the ringing is like 60 seconds of ringing. I think the music, they're on average like 2 to 3 minutes long each. Rather than it playing that whole file, we can follow it with a wait command, which will interrupt the previous step. So this says it's going to play ringing for 16 seconds. Then it's going to say, thanks for calling, please stay on the line. Then it's going to play music for 45 seconds. It's going to tell them press 0 for voicemail. It's going to tell them they're the 9th person in the queue. And then it's going to go back to step 4, please stay on the line. Back to step 4. And it's going to keep repeating that. Playing the position in the ACD, that's only contact center offers that. EQs doesn't. That's just like the little perk for contact center. And then I always recommend finishing the whole treatments with a go-to, so this way you don't have dead air. Because if this wasn't here, it's going to say you're the 3rd person in the queue, and now we have awkward silence. So this just ensures that that would never happen. So there's, infinite ways to create these. That's just kind of an example. Any questions with that whole part of it? Okay. And then once the queue is built, now they're able to come back to my office suite. They can go to like incoming call routing, stuff like that, and there will be an option to use that queue that was created. It's in here, call center service. And again, if they don't have any of the call center services, this option will not be there. So that's kind of building the things out, whether it's extension call recording, EQs, or contact center. Contact center has conditional routes, it has menus, it has groups. I'm not going to go through them with you now, just because I doubt you're going to be utilizing them very soon. If you end up having questions on them, you know how to reach me or anyone with training. We'd be happy to help you out. Live status, again, only the ACD products have, and this basically just kind of shows you what's going on right now. I'm trying to see. Like this would show you, here's all the different queues, and if you have people waiting, you can see, when they came in, what their caller ID is, if they're talking with somebody. So there's just different ways to see what's going on live. This one gives you a graph of the last 60 minutes worth of activity. Agent shows you like who signed in. So there's just different ways of looking at it. And then the last thing we'll talk about in here is the calls. So when they have extension call recording or contact center, either the two that offers recording, they will find their recordings here in calls. It's not in the recording library like you might logically go to. That's something a little different, which I'll explain. But with calls, they can search. There's all different ways to search. And then down here, you'd find the results. Let me try to find one that's, here's Ernie.
I just saw your name too.
Where is it?
Yeah, with an initial.
Where?
Okay,
Oh, there it is.
I thought it was Daddy
We'll do
too.
that one. So we can see that his call is recorded because it has the Y there. We can see, when, here's the caller ID, that kind of stuff. It was an inbound call. We can hit view. And here, again, all that detail. Here's the recording. We can hit listen, and it's going to pop it up. We can hit play.
Hi, Stuart. How you doing?
We're not going to listen to us. We can download it to our computer. Could save it offline. We also could add it to our recording library. So this recording, just by default, it's in here for 30 days. Within those 30 days, we can listen to it, do whatever we want. But then we can also hit add to library, where it's going to go here, and it'll stay there for as long as we want. There's 1 gig of storage included, which is roughly about 35 hours of audio. If they need more than that, they can purchase it for $10 a month. Usually it's perfectly fine. But yeah, once they hit add to the library, it's going to stay there for as long as they need it to. Okay. And then down here you can see the call path. Now this was done through extension call recording, but if it was EQs or contact center, you can see all the different agents that tried getting. So you can see, you know, it came in here, you know, it tried ringing Yaya, tried ringing Kenny, tried ringing Brad, Brad answered, you know, they had a 3-minute conversation, Brad hung up. So all that detail is here in the call path.
You can't see like outbound call recording on here, right?
Outbound you come. So here, if we go back here, you know, there's all different ways of searching. I can change the direction to outbound. I can say I want to see only the ones that were recorded. Let me roll this back to like Tuesday or Monday, whatever that is. And then here's some calls. So yeah, this is an outbound one. So it's outbound from Lynn to this phone number.
We have them, I don't know if it's, when we enable call recording on the number, on the actual phone number, they still have to dial the 81 to do it.
Right. And then with the recording products, we also do evaluations, where basically I can listen to this call, and then I can choose one of my evaluation forms, and I can basically grade that call.
Oh, that's probably how
You know,
they
did
grade
they
it.
use proper greeting? Yes. Did they fix the issue? You know, and then they can get like a grade based off of this. It can be used for like QA purposes. And they can customize these evaluation forms. Okay, I think that's kind of everything with the portal. There's more to it, obviously, but I don't think you're gonna really have a need for it, at least right off the bat. If you become like, if you're working tons of these orders and you have tons of questions about it, I can do a more in-depth training. But I think just to kind of get you started, that's good. The other thing though that I wanted to point out is we have an ACD portal, a CCS portal, like the equivalent of My Office Suite. So you know that you have My Office Suite, Telco Admin, where you can see all the customers.
Right.
We have the same thing for call center services. So this is what you would end up utilizing to check on something or maybe assist the customer with something.
Kenny, I'm sorry. In the portal where you went to other services and you saw the CC console, there was another one that said CC extension. Is that going to take you to the same portal?
Now, the CCS extensions takes you to a page within My Office Suite, which is going to show you all the extensions that are being used with CCS. So, like, it would show you all of your queues, basically.
Can't make
Can't make changes, but you can see that the billing queue is, you know, 591.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or sometimes if the customer doesn't know what extensions are, what they have, because sometimes they may not know which extension.
And rather than having to jump into there to check it, they can just look at that. But it's just informational.
Right.
So this is that portal. You should have access to it. You should have login credentials. Don't let Nicole know, and she can, you know, put an RM in or something for you. Basically, you would just go to admin, and then you would go to tenants. There's other stuff you can do in here, but don't. Now this is our second version. So you know how we have like still 1, still 2, still 3. We add sills as they become full, and we did the same thing with the CCS portal. So we just actually add number 2, and there's only like 31 customers in it so far. But right now there's only 2 versions. But basically here you would see all the customers in there. You can search. This search field kind of sucks, to say it bluntly. I have the worst luck
I
with it.
never find my customer.
Yeah. I typically will expand this to 100. I will then sort alphabetically,
Oh, that's fine right there, organic earth.
and then I'll scroll down and I'll try to find it. What was it, organic earth?
Yeah, we just did that one today.
So, here's this one that we were looking for. And you can see, the recording limit, they have 4 seats. And then what we would do, don't edit, really don't delete it. What you would do is you would do simulate. And when you do simulate, it's going to ask you what role do you want to look at this account as. They're set up, just by looking at the screen alone, I can tell that they're just set up for extension call recording. Because there's no role for agent, there's no role for supervisor. So when I click on this, what's that?
And it only has 4 seats.
Right. So this is exactly what a customer would look like when they log in. So we can go to like agents and ACDs. You notice there's only agents. We can click here. We can see, they're set up to record. All 4 extensions are set up to record. Now we can go to completed events, go to calls. I could say recorded yes, roll this back. A couple days, hit search. I don't see anything recorded yet.
Yeah, it was just enabled.
Yeah. So, that's the sort of thing that you might do.
So when a customer is in a queue, a worker's in a queue, and they make an outbound call,
Outbound, with queuing, outbound has nothing to do with it.
okay,
Yeah. Because queuing is purely an inbound.
okay,
Yeah. Save contact centers, you won't even be able to see outbound calls here in like the call history.
and the extension manager, reporting, they have to press 8+1 in order to record outbound?
Right. If they have an issue with that, and hey, I want it to be 9,
Mhm.
there's a pre-approved ICD.
Mhm.
We can have it built that way,
Okay,
but the standard use is 8.
okay,
And the reason for it is, if I'm calling home to see, hey, do you need anything from the store
mhm,
on the way home, I don't need that recorded, so
Right.
I'm about 9. But if I'm going to call a client to confirm something off of the contract, that should be recorded, I'm going to use 8. Sometimes admins don't trust their employees to dial correctly,
mhm,
so sometimes people just want everything recorded.
okay.
But 8 is the standard. But yeah, that's kind of how you would log in as an account. And then you can hit exit tenant, and then that's going to put you back so you can find somebody else. But that's really all you should be doing in here is just simulating, like this one here, Fabric Clean, they have contact center. So I could look at it as a tenant admin, an agent, or a supervisor. Any questions? I know I threw a lot at you. You ever have a question later on that we're available and stuff, but anything while you have me?
Mhm. The wiki is pretty much accurate except for just that one.
I didn't read this whole thing.
Okay.
It's been a while since I have looked at it.
Mhm.
But I know like the extension call recording, I think that's been updated somewhat recently. Yeah, like here's all this week's call recording.
Mhm.
I'd look here, and if it looks dated, if you're getting conflicting information, check with a neighbor or something like that, check
Okay.
with me, and if we need to get something updated, we will.
Okay.
But yeah, this should be good. Cool.
Cool.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
information, Kenny.
Absolutely. Anytime. All right, and then this was